Hey everyone, week 3 of the 2022 RPM 10K challenge. How are you feeling? How are your sticks? How's your springiness? That actually is a technical term in our athletic community, springiness. And remember, this isn't just about feet, it's not just about shoulders. Really, jumping is so important, and it's important for your organ systems, it's important for your pelvic floor. We cannot recommend daily jump practice. Hopefully at this point you realize that it's really easy to integrate a jumping practice into your day-to-day work. It can be a great warm-up for all of your athletic activities, before you jump on the bike, even jump roping in the garage, maybe before you ski, can be a great way to just kind of get the machinery prepped. Now, one of the things that happens when good jumping is ideally we're not doing a whole bunch of piking, which is a great strategy to get the rope around and win the championship. But ideally we're just jumping straight up and down, and when I land, foot comes down, I'm stacked and organized, and this is my most efficient up. We tend to see that when we start doing a ton of piking, it doesn't translate as well to athleticism. It translates really well to getting the jump rope around. Now, one of the things that happens though in a good jumping mechanism is that I'm dropping through and I'm just springing through the feet and pushing. So what ends up happening, and is sort of lost in this conversation of jumping, is what's going on with my quadriceps efficiency. So today we've got a couple mobilization choices. Choose your own adventure for making your quads feel better, but also a simple isometric to drop in during the day to keep your hips open. Because one of the things that's happening through all this jumping is that potentially your hip flexion is getting a little bit squeaky, and then we start doing a little bit kind of banana backing, and then our jumping mechanism is off. So can we keep our hips open? Can we keep the quads ready to absorb force and generate force? So step number 1 is, if you have a roller at home, jump on your roller, and I'm going to show you a couple tricks here, is that you can put that knee, the quadriceps, all the way down, the roller right by the tip of your kneecap here. Now notice I have my other leg up underneath my body. That really makes it comfortable, where I can even keep myself high to be able to modulate pressure. If I go straight to the ground, I'm now putting all of my weight into that quad, and it may not feel good, and I may not feel like I'm ready for it, and can potentially just put a lot of load into my back. So either keep yourself high and roll in this position, or just lay on the leg. The total pro tip is to pull a pillow off your couch and lay on your pillow. So we're going to use our same rolls, side to side rolling. I can flex and extend the leg, and if I feel something that feels ugly, stop here and definitely put in that contract, relax. 4-second inhale, 4-second contract, and notice I grab the glute, squeeze the glute here, and then relax and soften, soften, soften. Ideally, I should be able to go on and off full weight very instantaneously on the leg, because what happens is most of us feel like we're doing fine, but we're actually kind of keeping a little tension. So I like this contract relax because it gets me to actually soften and completely relax. Now, in this position, one of the things you'll notice is that your breathing gets a little bit wonky here. And when you find an ugly part of your quadriceps, you'll probably default to a little bit of breath holding. And this is where we like to say, if you do not or cannot breathe in a position, you do not own that position. So make sure that you're taking long, slow breaths, and you're not holding your breath in between. We're not trying to have another signal going to the brain that this is a threat. This is a recovery tool, recovery exercise. So take that big breath in, big breath out, 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale is great. Comma, if you find something ugly, big breath, hold, relax, but make sure you're working at a pressure where you can modulate your breathing. Now, some of us are lucky enough to have kettlebells at home, and if you have a kettlebell at home, bring it into your living room, and suddenly you have another way of working on the tissues of the quadriceps in a whole bunch of sneaky ways, where I can get a little bit more discrete pressure, or I can just have the big pressure. If this is on my skin, I can actually even wind up, and then once I've wound up the connective tissue, I can contract, hold that, and then relax and soften. Whew, and I'm starting to feel that I have a little spot there. So easy way to add in some load and some mobilization using this. And what's nice about this is now I've taken some of the tension out of the quadriceps because I'm sitting up. That makes it a little bit easier to sometimes access these positions. Lastly is that I love this in front of the TV because this gives me a chance to sort of zone out and distract myself from what I'm doing to myself by watching my favorite TV show. And it allows us to get a lot of work in. And what you'll find in this position is suddenly you can hit the adductors or you can come down to the calf. And what's really nice is that if we can set yourself up to have this pattern of doing some mobilization in the evening in front of the TV with a roller, or without a roller, but with a kettlebell or a dumbbell, this can make it a lot easier to do some of this requisite tissue health. Okay, so we've talked about quads and a couple different ways of getting into that system. Now I want to show you and give you a piece of homework during the day. And that is just a good old-fashioned end range isometric, which is shorthand for I want to get into a kneeling position to keep this hip open. I'm going to squeeze my glutes and I'm just going to move forward and be limited by the glute squeeze here. So what will end up happening is that if you don't have the glute on, you can go a lot further and you can do a lot more fun sort of interpretive dance with your upper back. What I want you to do is put your hands on your hips and I want you to be limited by the glute. One of the things that we're trying to do here is make sure that we're reminding the brain that when the leg is extending, I want to be able to have the glute as a choice of range, of control. And if I always go to end range and teach myself to feel tension here without being able to recruit the glute, then when I need to use it, I won't have it. So grab the glute, hang forward, and then what I would do is just do 30 seconds left leg, 30 seconds right leg. You could count that as a point. How many points can I get in the day? That's a quick 1 minute intervention of just working on an end range isometric. Or if you've got only the time you have as at the end of the day, just see if you can work on some isometrics. When you start to fatigue, switch sides, hit it a couple times, work up to 3 or 4 minutes. We have to be thinking that that jump mechanism is a complete chain mechanism. It's not just your calves and feet, but it is the whole system. And here we have working on this big recovery piece of the quadriceps and then tying that system back into your glutes and keeping your hip open. You'll see that your jumping the next day is even easier.